Hey everybody, welcome back to another all-new X's for Show, your premium media response show for everything that you love. And of course, it's a Sunday night, so we're getting mad gay with some Drag Race. You can check the show out at X's for Show. As for me, Nico Action, Nicoation.
And you can find me at TK Elemental.
And that makes me Tori Sheehan, back again. You can find me at SM Tori. That's Tori with an I.
And that makes me your producer, Kevo. You can find me at Kevo Really. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment so we know what you want us to cover in the future. Today we are covering the midpoint of this grand experiment that has been Global All-Stars.
You know, I am having such a relationship with Global All-Stars right now. It is both positive, negative, and everything in between. I am really excited about where this season has gone, where it's going. One of the things I like the most is it kind of feels like the playbook is from like 2016 in a lot of ways. Like the challenges feel classic. The drama feels manufactured, so classic. But I don't know, halfway through this season, I maybe felt like I would have felt like more stuff has happened halfway through the season.
I definitely agree. It's one of those things where I'm like, we're at the midpoint, but we still have 8 girls left. And that's very interesting thing to say about a midpoint. Like, to me, a midpoint is when we've gotten rid of half the girls.
So it's the difference between like a median and an average. And, there's that statistical average. And then there's the average if you get rid of the outliers. And this is just one of those situations where, like, I thought I'd be able to measure this season in Alyssa Edwards-isms. But so far, it seems like she forgot to bring them.
I mean, she definitely remembered to bring some form of Katy Perry wig, which was the only thing that saved that runway. So good for her.
And we have to talk about that a little bit more because absolutely. I mean, I don't know. I
heard that she's working with Dr. Luke.
We will get there in a bit. But that was some interesting synergy that, given when this was filmed, I was sort of surprised by. But I guess maybe they sort of knew the schedule no matter what. But anyway, we'll talk about that when we get there.
Because it is Paramount to Paramount.
Right, exactly.
So,
but if they filmed it like 3 years ago, the fact that the week of the VMAs, they have this episode where the VMAs get a name drop 3 times, including going to Katy Perry's after party when Katy Perry won the Video Vanguard. Like,
hold on. No. We talked about this on Friday, and now I'm going to squash this rumor. Guys, Katy Perry did not win the Video Vanguard. Katy Perry's management purchased the Video Vanguard.
Thank you.
Okay, fair.
Thank you for correcting my language. Katy Perry received the Video Vanguard.
Yes.
Who stole it for her, Carmen Sandiego? We can't ever be sure, but very odd that they had all those connections. And it particularly of note that this was a surprise materials challenge, but Alyssa had a wig that was perfect for the challenge, was perfect for the Katy Perry name drop. I don't know. I have questions. I have conspiracy questions. But I do think you are right. I don't know. I never think starting off with no eliminations is a good idea. The only reason I like it is because I want to see the girls get a chance to show their stuff, but I don't know that the one episode makes a difference. And then they never managed to do it with I didn't want Eileen Dubois to get eliminated. Like that season, that's the season where somebody should have stayed.
Yeah,
exactly. It's always the ones where I don't care, where they're like, don't worry, nobody's going home. And I'm like, I was perfectly ready for that girl to go home. It was her time. Episode 1 was for her.
I want to be Richard and Bailey about it. I just want to be like, half of you aren't going to make it. Another half of you are going to change specialties. Another half of you are going to drop out. Another half of you are going to cut the LVAD wire. There's just certain things that I expect to see happen, guys. I can't stop. So the HOB helped me set up the room for today. I can't get over all of the neon behind me. I have a pink neon cowboy hat behind me as we play Pink Pony Club. I quite literally feel like your very own chapel Roan to pray at. It's amazing.
I think it is a glorious setup.
Feeling it.
But yeah, this is kind of, we've said this from the beginning. This is not an impressive season. but sometimes when you stop and take stock at like the halfway point, it is bordering on impressive how unimpressive it is. Like, given everything that they set up for this, that it's just kind of a mid, like, not even up to the snuff of Canada versus the World season 2.
The world's biggest Payless is still pretty impressive.
Well, and that's something that I was saying to Nico's mom earlier today, because she asked, she's so lovely and wonderful, and asked, so what are you covering tonight? And so I said, we're covering Global All-Stars. We're not really that impressed. It just kind of feels like a regular season of Drag Race after we'd been waiting so long for this, and it'd been so hyped, and after the concept seemed like it could be something so much more elevated, having not just even come off of Canada versus the World, but still being in it when this started, this doesn't feel any different from Canada versus the World, and we're going to barrel directly into Drag Race UK from this. And it just doesn't really feel like there was anything to make this feel like it was the pinnacle, which, in some ways, it could feel a little more.
It doesn't have, I'm sorry, like, I hear what you're saying. It doesn't have anything that distinguishes it from Canada versus the World. Well, number one, it has less even judging, and comparing it to Canada's judging, that's terrifying. Number two, no lemon. And like, I'm not trying to be a lemonist.
No, there is no one like lemon. There's no lemon.
Lemon here. Queen Kong is, you guys know Queen Kong is one of my all-time favorite competitors in the history of the franchise, bar none. I mean, you could have just had Spanky here and it would have been a bigger deal. But like, when you have a Queen Kong and she's not allowed to show up, this is benching your best. This is having an episode without Rizzoli or Isles. Nobody is coming for Joe Montana.
I have no knowledge of what's going on Rizzoli and Isles such that I can respond to that.
I mean, the good news is it's like way over. So
I know.
Like ancient.
You don't have to be current on it.
Yeah.
My only frame of reference is that time Liz Lemon goes, "Are Rizzoli and Isles friends in real life?"
Can I tell you? So if I could dream up my perfect drag queen persona, not that I would ever have a drag queen persona this cool, but if I could, I would be some sort of like Manji Harmon. I love her. I just think she's the fucking coolest, and like that she's got that manly voice.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm here to solve crimes and or be a DA assistant, and maybe at one point kind of marry a giant. She was married to Jason Sehorn for a minute.
Not familiar.
The Giants had a bad day today, so.
Oh.
Drag Race.
Moving on.
You're
not this audience.
You're bringing too many sports into the things today.
Oh, you meant like football giant. I thought you meant a very large man. Okay.
No, I didn't mean a large man had a bad day. I meant the New York Giants lost at a bad time.
Once he said the Giants had a bad day today, I was like, oh, she didn't marry someone tall. She married a sports guy.
Yeah, no, she married Jason Sehorn.
I love Angie Harmon.
Yeah.
She should be on Grays. Anyway,
Seriously? While I am excited, while I am sad that we are not getting as many Alyssa-isms as we normally would, I am excited for the fact that it means that other people are getting to have moments that are memeable, excitable, talkable, that isn't just Alyssa. I was very worried this was going to be the all Alyssa show, especially with how the judging has been going, and to let them be like, well, we're gonna start pushing some other people, I think is great, you know?
I really do, because I am at the point where I don't want to buy into it, but it is feeling a little bit like Alyssa can come out and whatever she wants. Alyssa can come out in a diaper and they would be like, girl, it is really starting to feel a little bit like she's gorgeous, she's a model. I kind of feel like I'm watching the Alyssa Edwards meet and greet some weeks when it comes to the judging. But just the judging, because the production did not get Rue's notes that just give this girl the A.
Well, it's a weird, like, this is the thing. We keep saying, like, she probably shouldn't be competing. She should be, like, the class den mother. And that's kind of how she's getting treated. Like, there's no way she's in the bottom any challenge. But, like, I don't know. This was a weird challenge because I thought that nobody was bad. but I was surprised at who was safe and then who was good and who was like, and who were the tops and who were the bottoms. Like, I can't believe Kitty Scott Claus wasn't in the bottom is one of my big things. Like, that is just shocking to me. And similarly, like, compared to the critiques that Pythia got, I thought Alyssa's balanced out to be like, I would have thought if of the two of them, I maybe even would have given it to Alyssa. So the fact that she's just been safe over and over again, and we've kind of moved off of the storyline of like, she is the ultimate champion. And this episode kind of proved why it has to be that way, because she just brought a suitcase full of money because she is one of the most successful queens.
Cheer costumes.
Yeah, of course she did. Of course she brought that. She has the most money. She has the most
cheer costumes.
She knows, she knows what to bring to Drag Race. She knows production better than all of them do. She's in exactly the right place. And of course, it's hilarious that she didn't get to use any of it. But of course she had the nicest stuff. But that also does sort of speak to the fact that like the handicap for everybody else as compared to Alyssa is insane. And so her just being safe a bunch, I think makes total sense. And while this is flashed up here, I know that mini challenges are just never going to be a thing where like they matter at all.
Excuse me.
Calm down, Lucy.
I can't. I'm Lucy. I'm so upset.
The idea that Tessa won this over Vanity or like 3 other people, again, like I can't even really care or be upset because it's just a mini challenge. But like this even had the potential to be one of those mini challenges that feels a little bit like, okay, it takes something resembling skill to do this. Like it's a bit much because they're really being shaken around. And so of course nobody's going to look great. But the idea that you have to put makeup on in not the best of circumstances even is a real thing. It happens to queens, and like some queens are really good at it. Vanity clearly was one of them, and I was just shocked that they were like, Tessa clearly is the best. End of this storyline.
Before we can go any further, talking about people looking good, I want to get it out of the way before I can go on about it all episode. As a Greek boy whose shirtless photos are having a good couple of weeks, has everybody seen Pythia's
why didn't you just send it to me?
Unbelievable thirst trap where he is looking like an absolute fucking snack and then some? My Greek brother, I would love to treat you like a king out at dinner. Call me. But good. And he flat out called himself out on it. He's like, oh no, not my thirst trap, getting literally 10 times the interaction of any of my drag content while I'm on Global All Stars. But you gotta give it up, because like some of these girls are here and they got off a plane at LAX with a dream and a backyardigan, and they are, really just trying to Jessie Jam Master J their way through the situation as best they can. And some of these girls don't look that flattering regularly under these horrible fluorescent lights, with the limited access they have to their makeup, to their clothes, to their act. So, whether we're celebrating that some girls did a really great job, I think that a lot of people did better than Tessa, or we're celebrating that they look really good at home. I just think it's it's of note that all of these girls really do their best most of the time.
I agree. I also think maybe the girls should have been told that if you put on your makeup decently enough, but in a humorous way, you'll win the mini challenge. But
I agree completely.
That's a decision that somebody else made. I honestly thought that they were going to give it to Alyssa. I thought Alyssa looked, not Alyssa level, but she looked like a human with makeup on. So
no, she looks like the untamed wilderness of Alyssa, and that is fair. It counts.
This is literally a clown.
Yeah.
But and she's got eyelashes on as mustache and goatee pieces. Like, Tori, you nailed it. Like, if they had been like, and whoever gives us the most anything will win, then I would have been like, yeah, okay, totally Tessa, I guess. Who cares? But like, Alyssa actually does look subtle and beautiful and is not joking, bitch. Like she clearly took it seriously. And I really think for as exaggerated as Vanity's is, she looks great too. I'm actually looking at Nelania right now, and she looks great. There's a bunch of people that just over Tessa looked beautiful. Like, I thought the assignment was do the makeup to your best of ability while getting shaken around.
Yeah, same.
And so I think other people really filled that challenge. But, you know, as you pointed out, had it been explained, like, whoever wows us the most or gets the biggest reaction or makes me laugh, then yeah, sure, give it to Tessa, and that's fine. But again, we're just never going to get anywhere if mini challenges are just always a little bit silly, a little bit clearly rigged to set up the teams however they want to. I would just love a season where it feels a little more like mini challenges are smaller applications of skill, or they're just entirely jokes. I don't like this in between thing where we're expected to be like, oh yeah, they tried really hard, but it means nothing, and it's still going to shake out however they want for the production outcome they need.
Yeah, I'm looking for a 90210 world, and I'm getting a lot of freeform afternoon fare, and like that is part of the frustration, because I'm expecting it to be a complex presentation of the idea. Oh, we're seeing these girls perform on a global level, but instead I am getting a really like diluted version of it, and that's the frustration for me. Beyond that, like, I think Tessa is a very handsome man. Like, I think he is an absolute season trade. But
no, you already fucking Pythia.
I want them all.
We're already there.
He's a full Pokemon trader.
I am. Yeah, I have room for 6 Pokeballs. But the thing about Tessa that's kind of bothering me is a lot of what happens with Tessa is she's cute and funny in the interview, and then it cuts to her saying something underwhelming, somebody being kind of cutting about her, and her going, well, you're underestimating me. And then something happens.
Underestimate her.
Exactly. Something happens that just keeps her in the game, but she's not bringing home the gold.
That's why I loved this episode, because I did think she brought home the gold, but I don't know that she would have had she not gotten the best suitcase that one could possibly hope for. They were correct that it was Jamal who said, like, you sell a garment, and really having even that hand-out storyline for the ostrich feathers, that's some serious shit. She knew exactly what she was doing. I did think this was a fantastic garment, really well done. I thought, everything is, you can't make it at all if you have no skill, but sometimes delusion and luck really are part of the game. Yeah. And I do think that the luck of getting Alyssa's suitcase was huge here. Again, I have to wonder,
did she have a tile? Did she take her phone out and did she press locate tile? Is that what happened?
You see, something like that. Or a producer said, you and Alyssa should go together because we know we're keeping Alyssa safe. We would like you to have this win.
Alyssa
I don't
needs
know.
to have a show called Alicious now.
Alicious, yes.
I think they, at the very least, the editing of the episodes that we have seen have made it so that Alyssa's first choice is going to be Queen Kong. Her second choice is going to be Tessa for some reason. And that's who she's going to choose 99 times out of 10. And if she's decided she didn't want to walk herself all the way over to Queen and Tessa's right here and looks excitedly at her because Tessa doesn't want to be next to anybody else but Alyssa, I think it was set up so that we could just say, yeah, like the friends chose the friends. And then whoever was left got to choose hers. I forget.
I feel like one of the reasons that Alyssa might be fine picking Tessa a lot is that I can hear her now, and I don't think she's correct, but I can hear Alyssa saying something along the lines of, girl, when you pick somebody, you got to pick somebody less talented than you. And I get to say that pretending to be Alyssa because we're both the same bald white guy.
Not quite.
No, you're right, because I look like a little bit more like, I'm going to pretend that I look more like James McAvoy in Speak No Evil, but I look like James McAvoy somewhere in the transformation. And one more time, it just needs to be said, Alyssa this season out of drag really looks like Cassandra Nova in Deadpool and Wolverine. and I can't get over it. Like to a comical degree almost.
I've been seeing the shrunken head from Beetlejuice a lot. That guy. That's
Listen,
what I see a lot.
Bob gave a hell of a performance in that movie. Bob gave and gave and gave. My question is still just like, other than the drag references and the looks going forward, what the fuck was Monica Bellucci doing in the movie? But neither here nor there. Neither here nor there. I will say it was my third favorite Jenna Ortega performance I've ever seen.
That's good.
Scream 6, then Scream.
Okay. Yeah. Good for you. I loved her on You. I really am enjoying that we got a little more about some people. It's becoming a little more obvious to me that people are getting like certain edits that we've seen before. Like, I think that Tessa's getting kind of that Jinx Monsoon underdog, but surprisingly talented kind of edit. I think Nehelania is getting that like come from behind, done so well, and then just like last three, like gets 2 wins and then takes the whole thing out of nowhere. I'm enjoying who we have, but I feel like we are going to get very tight very soon on these gals.
We gotta, because the problem is there isn't enough range in some ways. Like a frustration I have that I don't. Has anybody else read the articles or seen the stuff about UK next season?
No.
They purposely cast girls with very different entertainment style backgrounds.
Oh,
good.
Interesting.
So that it creates more range in ability, more levels of competition. And the reason I think that's significant is because this is another season that's still going to have Rue and Michelle in the judging chair. But I do think that part of what we're talking about here are the girls that somebody said, well, Rue will get this. Because part of the concern is going to be Rue's not going to get it. And not because she's dumb, and not because she's old, and not because she's too busy fracking, but because she is interested in her brand. This is her show, and she wants to see her winners. You know, it's where I've always sort of wondered what led to Evie winning. Evie, oddly, is like the least winner of the last 15 years by trope type, by design type. The winners of the last set of years are much closer to Sasha Colby or the odd Willow Pill, right? But like, I feel like these girls all fit in a very specific mode. And I hate to say it, but I do think a lot of them are the kind of girls that if I saw Meet the Queens, I would have been like, well, she's going home 6th. Like, a lot of them are just, it's that thing that we say a lot, where if you try to make something universal and accessible and appeal to everyone, it's going to appeal to nobody and taste like nothing. And there's just not enough diversity of girl spirit here, though each one of these women from their individual countries are so incredible with their international diversity. I'm so impressed by that. The tonality just isn't there.
I would agree. I think that it's, for all that you're like, oh, well, Kitty's the comedy queen and Alyssa's the dancing queen, etc., they also aren't like top of, like, they're not the one you think of from their respective country for those titles.
Right.
They also like there's a bunch of international standards that have not been set when it comes to drag coming together. Like, the fact of the matter is, people from different countries have different perceptions of things like race and language and culture, and everybody is being very conservative and cool, as they probably should be for safety's sake. But it means that they're not getting into kind of fights and or maybe they are more, and it's being cut, but we're not seeing amplified fights and drama. And I suspect in large part because a lot of times people might say or relate something that where they come from is acceptable and completely fine, but you know, for Americans, it might be shocking. For the British, it might be shocking. For Canadians, it might be shocking. And it just results in a kind of homogenized lingua franca that is very safe And when we break out of that box, and what I'm specifically talking about is how horrible Kitty was this episode, it's really off-putting because it's not... Kitty was being Roxy Andrews, and nobody was responding the way they would respond to Roxy in season 5. Like, Kitty was just being nasty, and it was like almost a little bit funny, but also Nelania, like, actually I was like, I would cry too if I got a great fabric that I was fucking up. Like, and she just wasn't, she didn't speak enough English, I don't think, to say, I'm not upset that I got tacky fabric. I'm upset because I can't work with it. I'm screwed. I'm screwing myself. I'm fucked. I got that that's what she was saying, but it was through repeated confessional takes of that. And in the workroom, she's just kind of stumbling over her words, where she, you know, if it had been Coco and Alyssa, she would have been like, no, bitch, it's too nice. And they could have had a little bit of a repartee. We just don't... People kind of try and poke each other's bears a little bit about that stuff, but nobody takes the bait for any variety of reasons, including, I think, not having the same language and like idioms and, you know, vernacular to fight with each other about this stuff and make jokes about it and be a little cunty. So it's just all like, no, here's my desperate English attempt to explain to you that I don't hate your things or think they're tacky. I just don't know how to work with it.
You know, let me... Oh,
no, just to tag on, and frankly, that happens in seasons where all the girls speak ostensibly the same language. Communication is hard in the first place, especially when you have such brash personalities. Entertainers and creatives are all very stubborn and willful creatures, and communication is tough. So when you throw in language barrier on top of that, there's going to be a lot of situations where cooler heads are kind of needed.
You know, and by all means.
I was going to say, and I think just real quick that we saw that come through with Nehelenia's breakdown in Untucked, that in the choice of like one particular word is what set off a bunch of the English speakers, but it's because she didn't have quite the word that she wanted to use.
And not to play a solo on my concertina or anything, but one of the big things that I think we are missing the point of is it was easy to point at Raja, my precious Raja. So I'm gonna put her on blast, or my Queen Raven. It's easy to point at them and go, what bullies, what absolute mean bullies. But one thing that we tend to do is we tend to see somebody like Kitty, who is beautiful and amazing and unique, and because she is not jawboned like other people, will always be treated as, you know, Miranda would say, the fat girl. And she's not. And it's cruel. But she'll always be treated that way when she stands next to Alyssa. And so then when she's got this chip on her shoulder, we just, as a rule in the fandom, go, oh, she's just being mean. She's just being funny. But the truth is, we have characterizations and permissible levels of bullying that we allow based on our own perceived ability to interact with the situation. My mother at the aforementioned Sunday family dinner shared a story from Quora, which is like my mom's Reddit / Substack, whatever you want to be on. And on it, it's a person relaying their own story that they were on the phone and speaking the native language that they speak with their family. And somebody came up to them and said, I didn't want to interrupt you while you were on the phone, so I waited till your call was over. But just so you know, this is America. You should speak English. And the thing that really led to that was so shocking is the woman was speaking Navajo. Mm-hmm. The woman wasn't not speaking a language from America. She was literally speaking this land's original language. And so we sometimes lose sight of the ways we might be bullies in those regards. And I think you can even forget you don't have the status you think you have when you think your language is superior. And I mean, just to remind you, there is no national language in America. There is no formal national language. So let's calm down.
Yeah.
And, you know, the fact that the common tongue of global all-stars is English is sort of by necessity, but it does give some girls a leg up. And I you know,
that's what I'm saying. Thank you.
I really do take your point as well that, like, if it were a Raja, we would look at it a little differently. And, you know, in a lot of ways, even a Roxy, like Roxy's kind of
cool.
Roxy is kind of a weird case because it really was a double-edged sword. I think as many people loved her as hated her. And with Raja, it really was just like the woman from Top Model who is fashion as fuck is just Miranda Priestleying the other girls. And it's a little funny. And, you know, she, all things considered, compared to, like, Roxy, I think, wanted Jinx to kill herself at the end of the season. Raja just was kind of like, I'm going to call you all boogers and I just think you're ugly. You know,
Raja forever. Raja and
Roxy really was like, I could play this mind game out to its very end and walk away feeling okay. Raja was really just like, yeah, you're all boogers. I'm gorgeous. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. I'm gonna go home.
Yeah, I think we can say that Roxy was playing Cruel Intentions while Raja was playing Swan's Crossing.
Love it. Thank you. Perfect metaphor.
And I feel like it's sort of, Kitty feels more like the Mistress Isabel Brooks in the way she does this, but with like a little bit of Candy Muse's fuse.
Yeah.
Like that she will be just like, I just can't take it anymore. I can't.
Yeah. Like, she really wanted to fight about this thing where Nelania was just like, I just can't work with it. I'm not calling it tacky. I don't know where you're getting this from.
Right. I'm outer senshi. I don't know how to use these earth fabrics.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm a Kitty Scott Claus apologist, but it also takes a lot for me to recognize bullying on this show. It has to be extremely aggressive for me to clock it. I think the only one that I actually clocked in real time was Darien Lake to Ben de la Creme, and that's because I just didn't understand why it was happening.
Good one to clock. But she also had, she's the only one who made Rue laugh this week. Like, she had the funniest moment, and it was funny. But then the other part of it was Nelania didn't get it, and it bummed me out even more because the whole thing for like 3 weeks has been Nelania just isn't quite keeping up on the English. And, you know,
this isn't 1994. That's not a line of humor we need to follow.
Yeah, it's not the least. The joke to me is never that Nelania doesn't get it. It's always kind of frustrating and sad. And I just sort of wish somebody would step in and be like, this is what is happening. But Margarita Pizza was fucking funny. Like, I laughed at that. I got why Rue was laughing at it.
Right.
Hold on. He's not here. So I'm going to have to be him for a minute, guys. Give me a second. Hold on. I have to grow a much thicker beard.
I was going to say, do you want to get a...
Do you want my eyeliner?
I think if we all fuse into one big furry man, we can do it.
Yeah.
But I'm Jonah, and I just need to be clear. Margarita Pizza was created in New Jersey. It is not in the middle. We're watching the episode. We're watching it as a family, and he just literally, with his legs crossed, not looking up from playing Pokemon Snap, with his eyes ready to roll as hard as he can, just like the little shittiest bitch on earth goes, Margarita Pizza was invented in New Jersey. And I was so proud.
Bless his furry Muppet heart.
Bless his furry Muppet fucking heart. Yes.
A great drag name, firstly.
Margarita Pizza, fantastic drag name.
Secondly...
I was going to say, drag king, Flex Luthor. Drag queen, Les Luthor. I'm having a bald queen day, so bald king, bald queen, just get it bald.
Is this Luthor fam? Are we doing Luthor Inc. next?
We might have to. It's LexCorp all the way.
Yeah.
But I will also say, and I don't want to come off as a Cuomo who's upset at being called Fredo, but there is a part of me that was like, are we really making a pizza joke for the Italian? Is this really what we're doing?
I think that might be why Jonah felt the same way as you, my Italian queen.
Like,
it was one of those things where I thought that for me the joke was, of course, it's so stupid and so and Drag Race always walks that fine line where sometimes it is just, I don't know, that was the easiest joke to make, so I just made it. And other times it's like, we all get that this is funny. And I can't actually tell you which one this falls into, but I don't know. It was almost great. And then it just sucked that Nelania was not in on the joke as much. I love that she was like, Ruth thought it was funny, so I just went with it.
Well, your point, I think the difference between drag humor and dad humor is who you're exposing yourself to at the barbecue. Yeah. I mean, it's really a fine line.
And the wig you're wearing.
Yeah. Yeah, not to be ridiculous, but like really, some of these jokes are just sort of like, I mean, seriously, sometimes somebody be like, popcorn? I thought you said poppers. And like, that's the whole joke. That's not.
And are you talking about, amyl nitrate, or are you talking about fried jalapeno and cheese bits? It's, one or the other.
You tell me.
Dads are fags.
I told that joke at work for when we were organizing the Pride Party. I was like, and make sure we get some poppers, jalapeno, and it was big hit in the gay
big hit.
Love it. So proud.
Big hit of those jalapeno poppers.
Raffle mayo.
And TGI Fridays. I went to TGI Fridays the other day, and I was like, oh, I see you guys have changed it from Jack Daniel's sesame strips to whiskey sesame strips. Interesting.
Oh, they lost that partnership?
They did.
That was like a 25-year partnership.
Thank you.
Wow. End of an era.
The waitress thought we were fucking idiots. Thought we were the dumbest people she'd ever met.
She's not true Fridays.
She's not Flavor Town.
She doesn't have the spirit of the Friday.
I'm dying to know if they were like, wild turkey, what do you have for us?
Well, I was like, she was like, sour mash, that's disgusting. And I was like, straight up, sour mash right in here. I don't understand these people that are like, Jack is the grossest thing in the world. I don't understand. But so she was just like, oh no, they're just, it's whatever. It's just, they're just sesame strips. It's fine. And I was like, no. To an extent, like these things, the way we name them, what we call them, the idea of what they are, it does kind of matter. And part of what I do think, and just like kind of be silly, one of the things that threw me off about this challenge was that they tried to act like it wasn't just another fashion challenge this season. They tried to act like it was unconventional materials. No, it wasn't. I know. They tried to act. Yeah, exactly. They tried to act like the mini challenge was special too.
I was so shocked when she was like, it's with found items that you all brought with you. And like when the first couple opened it up and the one was like, oh, you just got a bolt of fabric. I was like, what? What? That's not that is a found object, I guess.
Of fabric.
And I was like, so we just.
I've had it since I was a little girl.
Like I was very shocked that production wasn't like, it is going to be found items that you found, but it cannot be a fabric, a feather, a sequin, a glitter. Like if you wanna glue something to this, it better be a million googly eyes. Like
it should be a gun rack or something.
Do these. And I was very surprised.
With a gun rack.
But then also
Wayne's World aside.
Thank you for doing the Wayne's World references.
I love that we went there. I think we should maybe visit bringing that into the show at some point. But I loved the setup for this challenge. If it was real, again, I just like I so distrust this company now and their production style that I have trouble believing everybody didn't know this was coming, didn't know what to expect in some capacity. But I love this idea of being told, like, bring a suitcase full of materials and then having to swap with somebody. That's so fun to me.
That was the great part.
Yeah, but it is different than what was said. And, like, the energy and the vibe of, like, no, we did fuck with you a little bit. And, like, you have to love your fellow man a little bit. You have to, like, relate to your partner and sort of vibe on what they brought. And if you love a girl, but she is a poor girl and you're Alyssa Edwards, you have to work it out. And
you have to adopt them.
Yeah, you have to adopt them. You're now required by law.
Yeah. She dressed that girl. It's done.
for the night, you have to live in somebody else's lack of resources that you have. I don't know. I thought it was really cool, but I feel like we are right now having a hyper discussion about what this could be than was ever discussed on the show. Like the production really kind of made it seem like it was something else. Also, I just can't help but see how small the suitcase that Vanity and Elenia are compared to the rest of them. I mean, like,
I have a feeling that they brought a little bag with them.
Thank you. It was in like a trash bag or something, and then they got these cute
production
suitcases.
threw these in here.
Yeah, thank you.
There's no
I
other
like that
way
a lot
around
better.
this.
Yes.
I just want to point out, if they were like maybe really cool bags from like a really cool designer luggage company, I would think very differently about them.
Quickly,
But
make this deal.
This just seems
VP of Special Projects.
Do you think that's the only thing we talk about in gay chat at my work is poppers? No, we also talk about how to get our
how do we get this fucking luggage on Drag Race?
I have been trying to figure out how to get my education company to partner with both Chaperone and Duolingo, and evidently both keep referring to their brand book and being like, you guys are not checking the detail.
Well, I think the bigger thing is you guys should create a standardized test for drag queens.
Oh my god! But then
imagine if that's how you had to get on the show. You
yes,
had to take a standardized
the drag queen
test.
Standardized test.
Let's make the people who hate school.
Jonathan,
they ran away to their own.
The most ADHD.
Jonathan Groff is going to refuse because he's going to be upset that Leah Michelle can't be on because she can't pass the written. Which must mean Leah Michelle can't drive. So now I suddenly feel like the roads are a lot safer.
Not everybody has a written test.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know some states don't require you to be able to read to drive. That's so upsetting.
That's not quite it, but too close.
Anyway, I really did love the concept for this challenge. I do think that they got lost in the sauce of selling it, which was a bummer, but I loved the runways. I had so much fun with this runway. This is a show where I tune the fuck out during most of the runways. Oftentimes what I do for the show is start, screen cap the runway, skip 30 seconds to the next one, screen cap them all, and then just look at them. And like have them ready for the show, because I just kind of get bored with the Brown. I was just bored. I was bored from the minute they announced it.
But yeah,
that was a 1970s rumpus room. Like that was just...
And they sent home the best looking woman.
Good.
She looked so amazing, completely understood the assignment. But this one, I was like, I really want to see what they come up with. I'm really interested. They managed to build something from the drama of, can we do this or not? Like, particularly with Nelania. And then we did get some really cool looks, and we're looking at one right now. I was talking about Kitty when I said that. Gala, I don't understand.
We're not Kitty yet.
Yeah, Gala's is bad.
Kitty's is also bad.
Kitty's is unforgivable.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Do you not agree? It's fine if you don't agree. I would love to hear your perspective.
I think they all did a very solid job.
Yeah, I do too. My tone is on a curve.
Right. Yeah. And I think Kitty's just one of those where her runways are never gonna look good. And like if Alyssa
That's meaner than
here,
what I said.
Yeah, somebody's coming for Kate Butch right now.
Like she's gonna sell it. And it's going to be bright, and it's going to be fun, and it's going to be joyful. Like she's got that Candy Muse effect, that Vanjie effect, that Alyssa Edwards effect, where it's just so fun to watch her exist that you're like, it's fine if everything else is a C-.
I so love that you feel this way, because I don't at all.
No, she's turned me around. I can see it. So
I can't.
There's a two-parter in season 7 of The Golden Girls, so of course I can explain it. And in this two-parter, for some reason, just please understand, whatever reason, Rose is pretending to be an Asian woman and no makeup, and Sophia is pretending to be an old Spanish teacher, and there is this moment where Sophia sort of implies that she's one of the young hot bitches. And that Rose and Dorothy are old and gross. And she just kind of puts her tits out and just kind of walks chest forward with Blanche. And like when I see Kitty Scott Claus, honestly, I think about a lot of the classic dames. I think about a lot of the girls who I guess they do tend to be a little bit more UKzy, but I think about Lady Camden. I think about a stronger girl like I don't know, like a Darian, who is so talented, who is so special. But I also think about like these very classic girls who do these very elevated looks. And the difference is, yeah, Kitty Scott Claus really does embody that youthful tenacity. That's the nicest way to say it, that Candy Muse has. And I think I'm not used to seeing a girl. Oh my fucking God, Kevo. Kitty Scott Claus is in fact Phenomena. Oh my God. It is from
this is what I see.
We actually just watched a video about
Precinct colon. All right.
Hottest Italian dude ever.
Not in that character. It looks like Peter Sellers, but yeah.
Oh, that works for me. Oh no.
But yeah, no, Nico, you're right. Like there's a certain amount of I belong here. I like that presence.
Yes.
RuPaul loves presence, and Kitty's got presence in spades.
And this is one of those things, I am not here to say this is incorrect, because this is such like it hits the audience member. This is not hitting.
Did he hit the audience member? Oh no!
Oh no!
This effect is not hitting me at all. And I love that Nico came in before I could say this and was like, yeah, like what Tori is saying makes sense to me too, because that's exactly it. Like if you get it, you get it. And the girls who can stand out to their audience and find the people in the crowd that are going to fall in love with them and make them fall in love with them. Again, that's Roxy. Like the people that loved Roxy after season 5 loved her, and she found them and they saw what she was doing and they thought it was great. And they maybe understood that this is a television show, and that it's all fine. Maybe. And you know, some of them didn't. Some of them were like, I'm glad you nearly got Jinx to the edge. Next time we'll push her off. But, you know, just as many people didn't get Roxy, thought she was mean, thought like she deserved to be kicked off the show. But she found her audience and built world-class fame off of pleasing those people. And I fully get that that's what Kitty is doing. And I'm just not her audience. It's just not working for me. But it's interesting when that happens on an episode like this, where, as we said, like nobody did terrible. Nobody was unforgivable, where it's like, you absolutely just have to go home. And so in some ways it really comes down to like, in this 4-person panel, Kevo, I don't know how you feel about Kitty, but like 2 of us for sure did not feel like she was terrible. I felt like she was terrible. I felt like she deserved to be in the bottom over Soa. Put it that way. And if I'm the one and we have 2 that don't feel that way, that's already like Kitty has appealed to her audience. She's found her people and she's doing great. Just from our little sample size.
I think she's fine. I don't know about great. Would
you have put her in the bottom?
I don't know about bottom.
Okay, fair.
I appreciate this styling more than I appreciate like some of this, like it's ruching, is it called? I don't love that. That always hits my eye weird. So I'd rather go Muppet. But
so you think she's Manama not a problem?
Yeah. You know, I just, in general, I'm just every time, and I feel bad, but I don't care about doing yet another style challenge on a season like this when there's so many other things we can be doing. And, you know, as we pointed out, we don't really feel like this was done the proper way. We don't really feel like it was actually as even and thought out as it could have been. And so, like, why even do this? You've already done a ball. and yet we're only halfway. We still have so many episodes to go. So, like, what is there left if we're already starting to feel like we're repeating ourselves? And this is just not what I expected around the board.
I mean, I feel like for sure Snatch Game, Rusical, Makeover Challenge. So I think that's 3 of our 6.
What's Makeover Challenge going to be on a program like this? I wonder.
It's going to be either like international pit crew or, I mean, hopefully it's not like we found a refugee from each of your countries.
Wouldn't put it past them because
yeah, that's really my fear.
And I think there's I just want to put it up there while this image is up, and I really appreciate, Kevin, you holding on this image.
Yeah, I got a thing to say too.
There is a question of taste here because I think in this image, Alyssa looks like Jessie from Lil New York Knicks. I think she is an absolute fucking mess. I think she looks like she is a sneaker model in this with this blue and gold nonsense. She looks kind of like an idiot. And like
that she was safe was unreal.
Was unfucking imaginable. She looks so foolish here because these other girls are in fashion. And she is absolutely here to bring Cheer USA to MGM Studios for Disney World this weekend. And they're really excited because Ashley Tisdale's here to debut her new single, An Adorable Webkin.
And that's the thing. I would maybe say, like, yeah, she's comparable to Kitty. I don't think that I would say one or the other is so incredibly better or worse in that regard.
And I, on the flip side of things, will say I didn't think Vanity. I thought Vanity was safe. The look to me was safe. I thought it was perfectly fine. I didn't think it was amazing. I could see what the problems were. I was shocked the way they hammered on her in the nicest way possible. Because again, and this is another thing, I think they have to more consistently do that thing of saying, you all are amazing. You all did great this challenge. Somebody has to be the lowest ranked. That does not mean that you were bad. It just means of this group of excellent people. Again, the thing I always use, everybody got A's, but somebody got 98 and somebody got 92, and the 92 has to be the lowest score and go home.
Yeah.
They really went a little harder on Vanity. They weren't necessarily wrong about any of the critiques, but
the carpet doesn't match the drapes. There's nothing going on her legs, and everything is up her body.
I'm not arguing with any of that. I like the look. I thought it was safe, but like I said, nothing anybody said that critiqued it was incorrect.
Okay.
But Soa and Galavaro got much nicer critiques. And so again, I wound up in the Drag Race Twilight Zone where I'm just like, you just kind of told Vanity that she had the worst look by a lot. And she hasn't been doing great. She didn't do great in the mini challenge, apparently, because you didn't give her that either. How is she not in the bottom when you launched into this endless praise of Soa, who it deserved it? She did look beautiful. She did do her makeup entirely right. I understand that the dress wasn't quite there, but that's what they kept saying. Like, it's not quite there. You understand the problems. It's not quite there. And for Vanity, it wasn't that same thing. They weren't saying it's not quite there. They were saying fully, this isn't correct. It's just on the right track. And when we got to who's lip syncing, my jaw hit the floor.
Other than wanting to see those two lip sync,
right? Exactly. That's always the thing. Great song for those two to lip sync to, but then also I can't believe who went home.
Yeah, when I look at Vanity out of drag, sometimes I think to myself, you would be an amazing lead singer in a Strokes cover band. And so, like, I don't think sometimes, like, the crunchy Midwest boy look that is, a very common European look, but the only people who have really adopted it is that crunchy Midwest boy in the US. I think sometimes she gives such a realism in her interviews. She gives such an honesty where, like, a lot of the girls look so fucking dressed up in their talking heads. But when Vanity is speaking, it just seems like a real person is trying to talk to you. And I think sometimes it makes her confessions versus how she's treated on the runway feel dissociated. The other girls are still their illusion when they're when they're in their talking head versus when they're on their runway. It always seems sad when it's her for me, because she seems so defeated week in and week out. And when you're not even on the bottom, but you are getting shit on, like, I mean, the men's bathroom at the Warped Tour levels of shit on that she gets week after week I would feel defeated too if I were operating at a language that isn't my primary language, that isn't my home country, that isn't where I have support. I really agree with you. It does sometimes seem like they have picked her and, frankly, Nehelenia to be the two show punching bags. And it's getting weird, because when Soa went home seeming okay leaving. Some of these girls seem damaged staying. Try again?
Yeah. And I just so didn't want Soa to leave. Gala, I like Gala. I think she's gorgeous. I don't think she won that lip sync. And is this not her second or third?
This is her second. Soa's second.
She lip synced last week.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also thought that Eva won that lip sync. Like, I don't know. I'm not in lockstep with the judges on this, but I do think 2 weeks in a row on this stage, I don't know. It was so weird. And the one thing I didn't mention is even Vanity was shocked when she was told she was safe. I think that's never a good sign. I don't know. Again, like, this is the thing we talked about last week too, but like editing, what are you guys doing? Like, who leaves that? Who specifically puts that in? You could cut that moment and not make it look like if the audience is confused, don't worry, the girls agree with you. I don't know, man. This is real bummer summer moment. And like, yes, it also does feel like two girls are still here. And it's not even a matter of like who don't belong here, because I think Vanity and Nehelenia are great, but like, it feels like they're here so that the production can continue to torture them.
Yes.
And continue to do these moments where they're like, you know, Nehelenia, you don't understand a thing we're saying. This look is mediocre. Everything about you is just not that great. You're safe this week.
Go back to IKEA. Like, because they do sort of seem to have this international hand wave. Well, you're from Forania, right? That's your country of origin, Forania. Unless you're on one of the because we got to say it this way, Rue family judged shows.
The English speaking shows.
Well, because like I want to go a little bit further than the English speaking shows, because I do feel Drag Race Mexico kind of keeps a special caveat from having.
Interesting. I you're right, but like also they don't make a strong connection.
They don't make a strong connection, but you know, Valentina is like literally one of the single most important people to come out. I know she's gone, and she chose to leave. Evidently, she and the producers discussed it, and her command of Spanish was a little bit more Castilian than it was.
I think she got Jeffrey Boyer Chapman.
Well, they're letting her say she left, and Valentina's never done a thing wrong in her life. In fact, I think she did a better job with the mask on. So, I
think they should all have masks on. I think she's a genius.
Masks on. But you know, when it comes to this show, one of the things that I am really hoping for, looking back and looking forward, is that there is more of an attempt to make sure that the show feels balanced. Our complaints have been that it's hard to understand what they're trying to craft here. We like the girls, we like the challenges, we like the atmosphere. It's weird because for me, it's no doubt doing It's My Life. You're doing a great song, you're doing Talk, and you're doing a great piece of music. But like when you hear the original, it's an octave lower. It's like a very different song. And I love, I am the biggest Gwen Stefani defender on this fucking show for no reason. Nobody comes for her as much as I defend her for no reason, right?
Who are you?
I was just like thinking about how much I love No Doubt songs, and I thought we'd go back on tour. Ooh, I'm gonna write a song about my bassist. So I love her. She's flawless. She doesn't make any mistakes. But one of the things is that's not my favorite cover. It's not only not my favorite cover, it's not even my favorite No Doubt cover. It's not my energy, not my vibe. And so I wind up in a position where, like, you can have everything right. You can pull together all of the coolest things in the world, and it's still not going to line up quite the way you want. That's me walking away from the halfway point of Gas. I know who I want in the top 3, but I don't think they're all going to be there. I think my precious Thirst Trap Pythia is safe. I think Alyssa is safe. And I think Queen is safe. But I think everybody else is just fucked.
I think Alyssa might not be safe. I'll be interested to see what happens.
Ooh.
I think Alyssa gets to the finale.
I could see it.
I get that.
I mean, I expected it early on. I just how middling she's been doing at this point in the competition.
I've secretly been a judge.
What?
Yeah, I mean,
I pulled up I pulled up the Drag Race wiki chart, and Alyssa has been. She won. She was high. She was safe.
Yeah.
She was high. She was safe.
I'm sure she's been high a lot during the production of this show.
That's a solid run. If she's probably going to pick up at least one more win. She could solidly be in the end, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see. I wouldn't hate it. I just it felt like they were really handing it to her before, and now I'm just a little more unsure of that. I put it that way. The fact that she has been safe a number of times and has just sort of been not really highlighted or featured the way she was right at the start has led me to feel like it's not as much of a sure thing that she just goes right there. Tessa. Also, we have really gone from RuPaul episode 1 being like Tessa Testicle to now it has been like fully shortened to Tessa T and has gone through like 3 different iterations in between. Very curious about that one. They're really live workshopping that, which I find a little fascinating. Yeah, Nico, I mean, you really said it best. Like, it's not, we're wishing for balance. We're wishing to kind of understand what the hell you're doing. And honestly, this is not a Global All-Stars problem. This is a World of Wonder production problem, because these are the types of complaints that we have about other series, other franchises, that we don't have necessarily the same complaints about, like, who gets on the show or what the challenges are, but it is often that same complaint of just like, I don't understand what production is doing today. I don't understand why the judging happened this way, why editing left in this glaring moment of everybody being like, we are as confused as you, the audience, are by this insane decision. So that we don't even have that moment of production seeming like they are a united front on their ideas. Those are all my critiques. These girls are lovely and cool. I wish this brand was maybe called something else so that it could be like global features or something, or some way to meet girls that you never would meet otherwise. But we all understand that this is who could get there, whose visas passed, etc., etc. And that's very different than like, we picked the cream of the crop from every place we could get to, which is a difficult thing to do. I don't blame them for not necessarily doing it. So, always along for the ride, rooting for everybody. I still think everyone is phenomenal. And I cannot go 3 Instagram reels without seeing a Tessa Testicle Instagram reel show up. So Plastique,
girl, get on that
look
game.
At your heels, somebody's nipping.
Yeah. I am aware that this is very much who has a good grasp of English and was available and could get their visa in time, but I will give it up to them. They got everyone is a runner up or made it to the finale except for Alyssa and Tessa. They're the lowest placing queens in this whole thing.
That's a good statistic. Thank you.
Everyone else made it to the finale.
Yeah.
And so I do recognize that this is like a good best of, considering the things. I'm starting to think that this was Rue's way or production's way of saying, we are never going to have a US versus the world. We're never going to turn All-Stars into there's even half Americans and half non-Americans. We're going to do this instead, because that's what you would do, is you would say, well, okay, well, we've already had like one non-American on the All-Stars twice now. Why not amp it up? Have 2, have 3, have 4, because then it starts to look like US versus the world, which is a format that they seem to be doing well with. But they don't want to do that, I guess. And so this was their way of being like, okay, well, how do we highlight the most foreign girls? Let's do this. And so I recognize it for what it is. And I think there are ways to do it better. And I'm not one of these conspiracy theorists on the wiki saying that they put together they knowingly made a shitty one so that they could have a great second one. But I think we will probably get a second one, and I think it will be leaps and bounds better than what this was.
The Song of the All-Stars, frankly, where even though I think All-Stars 1 watches really well compared to the other All-Star seasons, I do see where people who had been live at the time can see the differences a little bit more accurately and a little bit more to their face. But as somebody who watched this live, I feel the same way, Tori. I think that Gas 2 is going to be, or as I'm hoping it's called, Gassed It, right, is going to be a big hit and a little bit stronger. And I hope, this is going to sound maybe a little bit bad, and I would, Kevo, I would love for you to incorporate this into your response, and then we can go up the thoughts on it. But one of the things that I'm really kind of disappointed about is, yeah, you got Alyssa. Congratulations. I went to a carousel and found a horse. Good job. What if you got a door? What if you got an ungettable? What if that was where you put the money instead of wasting Roxy Andrews on a, versus the world or an All-Stars where she's already been a finalist multiple times? Like you said, Torian, what a great point. 2 of these girls are the only 2 that weren't finalists. Queen was expected to win and lost to Spanky at the last second. Like, it's not like these are nobodies. And in that regard, it is sort of kind of, okay, well, we're doing the standards. Great. Nothing unexpected here.
Yeah.
And I really get that.
I don't know that I would go so far as to use the terminology purposely tanked the first season of Gas. I definitely think that is, like you said, that's a little too conspiracy. That's a little bit too over dramatic about it. I would say, like, at worst, it's more like we're a little too lax or a little too much relied on the fact that, yeah, it's their production. They're kind of guaranteed a Gas season 2 as much as they want it. So I wonder if they maybe relied on that knowledge a little bit too much, and for that reason didn't put in enough work. But I think we feel that on a lot of seasons of this production and this franchise as a whole. Very frequently when there's a season where we're like, this didn't quite work for us, is it because they know they'll just come back stronger next year? And like we've also said, we expected so much of this. The concept, I love everything that you said about, I agree. I don't think US versus the world. Oh, people would have fun with that logo. You don't want anything about the optics of that, I think. It's just not worth putting out there, especially when the Queen herself is from here. So it gives British monarchy, it gives invasion and occupation. And instead, something more inviting and something more bridging. Which is kind of what I'd hoped this season would be. It's international, it's global All-Stars. I'd hope there could be more stuff about, like, these performers representing their culture or something. I don't know. But it's ultimately just kind of a basic season of Drag Race, but all of the contestants are from different places. Great.
And they're not very good at communicating with each other.
Yeah.
And I feel like some of that communication problem has to come from the series itself. There is something about production that is not encouraging these girls to work together, not encouraging these girls to communicate. And it's ultimately a difficulty that I think is a little hard for the show to overtake. All said and done, I've had a great episode. I really, I think we are looking at a really interesting turning point, where the actual international content is designed to be international and not simply designed to be aimed at one nation. I think it's what Mexico versus the world is coming up. We've had UK versus the world. We've had Canada versus the world. And those feel very aimed at the American audience that watch those nations. But this was supposed to be global all-stars. I was hoping for a little bit more of a difference from guts to global guts. But, we get what we get. So I would love to get everybody's final thoughts and where we can find you. Tori, let's start with you, because I have so missed you these last 2 weeks.
I've missed you guys too. We're lucky. You're lucky that boobies happened without me. I would have been just untamed, undone.
Oh my gosh, we were not prepared.
Time. Would not have worked.
Oh, we would have been thrilled. Well, no, what is your question for the show, and where can everybody find you?
Well, we'll start with the easy stuff. You can find me online at smtori. That's Tori with an I. I think we sort of talked about a little bit where we sort of drifted into who our top 3 is right now. I think for me, it is a Pythia. I'm going to pull Alyssa Edwards out of this, so I'm just going to say it's Pythia for me. It's Nehelania, and I think I want it to be Kitty, but I think it's Queen. Those are like my top 3 that I would want to see in the end. And I think that's fun. I'm really enjoying getting to watch something live with you guys. It's a little confusing because I'm in the middle of a Canada season right now, and everything is a little strange. But I'm happy. I'm in the middle of Canada 2. So I am just meeting Pythia for the first time, for reals.
That's so crazy.
And I kind of wish that we could have a global all-stars that is the main judge of each show, pulls together a team of 6, and they pick one to do the challenge, and the other 5 take a breather, and then it's literally a 12 of them doing the thing. And I don't know, Michelle Visage is in charge of the US ones or the UK ones or whatever. And that I just think that would be really fun, and we're never gonna get it, but dream big. How about you?
Well, how about us, Kevo?
What about us? Kevo, what about love?
Or the brandy. What about us? It's a full moon. Get a crack if you like.
What about that?
Oh man, they've done What About That here on Drag Race, so they get my fandom. That amazing Janet breaks down 17 looks over 30 years for British Vogue is wonderful. Check that out on YouTube. But Kevo, what is your thoughts as we wrap this banger up? And where can everybody find you banging around?
Well, you can find me over on the Soch finding the right banner at Kev O'Reilly. That's KEVOREALLY. And there was a thing Tori said early in the episode that really stuck with me. Of there's just so many girls left still. Also, again, we discussed this last week. This kind of proves this is what I'm going to start calling the RuPaul camera gap, because it does seem that there is. We wondered last week because of the way that they had the girls stationed. It was 2 groups, and then the group that won all the way on the other side of the gap. So it looked very shaming. But So yeah, there's so many girls on this stage still, and it's almost exhausting. I feel like most All-Star seasons, it's less, it's shorter, it's tighter, it's more engaging, and I think they were hoping more is better. It's so funny because on the other end of the spectrum, in another fandom I'm in, Doctor Who, we're talking about the fact that this last season was 8 episodes, and somebody made a point to me about how back in the Moffat era, seasons had been split several times, and those were essentially the same length as the season we just got. So in that time, it's like we got 4 seasons to the one we just got, and it's funny to be on the other end of this and feeling like maybe this was too much right away. Maybe a shorter Global All-Stars first season, and then we could have come back with a more maximized cast. I don't know. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm engaged at least so much as to see who is going to end up in the finals. I think we all have pretty much the same thoughts on that, but who knows? They love to throw curveballs, so we'll see.
I completely love that, and I think that is one of the things that makes this show a hallmark. You know, it's always a bit of a surprise. TK, what is your big question as we head into this finale ramp up, or halfway point? And where can we find you?
You can find me at TK Elemental on all the socials. My big question is, Queen Kong, will you go out with me? That's all I got. I'm not sure she's gonna make it all the way, and only because I don't know. The judging is weird here, not because she doesn't deserve it. I love her. It's been so fun watching her kill it, and this was just such a great example of it. What a great look. What a great night for her. She's so cool. She was so great to Soa to work with her on makeup tips for a non-standard complexion in the drag community, unfortunately. That's something that has been talked about for a very long time, but never gets enough attention. So she's cool. She's hot as fuck. And I want to hang out sometime. So since I know you're probably watching, just, TK Elemental, you can find me there. We'll go out on a cute little date. What do you got, Nico?
As someone who has directly asked Spanky Jackson out on a date, directly, personally, and been like, hey, you want to go out with
Down
me,
Under double date time?
Kind of, sort of. I get it. The Down Under boys are so fucking amazing, and they are so cool. And when they are the Down Under girls, they are just as fantastic. There are so many things I want to ask the production, but I think what I would ask them is, what would they do differently? What do they regret already? And I would love to know where they go from there. As for me, Nico Action, NICOACTION, and my music, Nico Action Music, NICOACTION MUSIC. If you want to check out the old stuff of this show, HTML and X's for podcast on all your social. But if you want to check this thing out, X's for show on all your social media. And then there's 3 things you guys can do for us: comment, like, subscribe. We need to know what you guys are thinking because we're not mind readers. It's a bummer. Right? I even took my hat off so I'd be able to read directly into your brain today. But that said, there's 3 things you guys can do for yourselves that would make us really happy. Number 1, you guys stay safe. Spooky, crazy world out there. Halloween coming up. Arm yourself with your neon cowboy hat and do your job. Number 2, be brave. It's a crazy world out there, and we want to see you do your best being great at it. But number 3, evolve daily, because who you were yesterday, amazing. Who you are today is incredible, and who you are tomorrow, that's the dream. And we can't wait to see you then. So stay safe, be brave, evolve daily, and we'll see you.